All right, amigos. My desk is a mess. Imagine that. Your old buddy desk, Josh, the desk is a mess. Somebody told me about a movie to watch, a rival movie with geoseeding. Remember, they said, if you think chemtrails are real, you're a conspiracy theory nutcase. And yet we literally have, we know for a fact they've been wanting to do geoseeding for a long, long time. And so there's a movie called A Rival Movie, which talks about geoseeding. Dude, the whole thing's nuts, man. All right, so let me just make sure I am live and in person here on Rumble. And I am not yet. Let's make sure we are live and in person on. Hold on just a second. There we go. And where is Odyssey? Right there. Live stream. Let's make sure we're live and in person on Odyssey. So yo for Rumbles, the Rumblers. They're ready to Rumble. And let's go to Odyssey, my channel page. All right, there we go. And we're going to go over here if I can find content. Man, I get that's crazy. I get 800 people on Rumble, on not Rumble, on Odyssey. I only got like 150 on BitChute. I've been on BitChute a lot longer. Hey, look, all right, cool. There we go. Sweet. Yay. All right, cool. Yo. I don't really follow that much on BitChute anymore. All right, cool. There we go. Sweet. And I suppose we should be on various other platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook. Hey, there's Brad, Kate Passos, Carl. I have not. I don't. Carl said, "Did I watch the videos or books? I responded to your perspective about birth replacement. I don't recall seeing that, so I'm not. I haven't, but I'm not. Are you taking a stance that says what's your stance on that? I'm not even sure what that's a reference to, frankly. Birth replacement. I mean, we're not making up babies. We got Jack Kanokel from Charlotte. Right on, Jack. Que paso? I got a little bit of color in my face. My pale skin is looking a little bit tanner. I can qualify for black and brown. How dare you, Josh? How dare you? That's so racist. So racist. Black and brown. Black and brown. You gotta take care of black and brown. Black and brown. Oh boy. Somebody just get tired of that crap. Black. I mean, it's just like it's so just demeaning. I mean, everyone knows it's demeaning. A good book you should. I've read it. Beauchamp versus Pasteur, a lost chapter in the history of biology by Ethel Hume. All right, very much. This is up on my to-read list. Lots of. Let's just put it this way: lots of evidence that Pasteur is a clown. Let's just put it this way. Hey, T. Phillips, all right, right on T. Phillips. Lots of evidence of that. All right, we know that. In fact, who's the guy? I texted my mom about it, actually. My mom is a left-wing conspiracy theorist. Let's put it that way. It's actually kind of funny. So my mom, I texted her about Gregory Pincus, because I was like, so Gregory Pincus. Let's just put it this way: talk about black and brown. Tuskegee. What they did in Puerto Rico, experiments on birth control in Puerto Rico and whatnot. And there he is, old Gregory Pincus, a real honorable chap there. That's a great looking guy, that Gregory Pincus. So anyway, the point being is I wondered Pincus was related to Warburg Pincus, because Warburg Pincus is a big investment management firm, and Gregory Pincus, I don't think they're really. I'm sure they're the same. They're of the same clan, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, I just kind of chuckled. Anyway, so Pincus there is not related in terms of direct lineage to the Warburg Pincus, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, so all these guys, he got with the lady from some rich scumbag's daughter. really. So Margaret Sanger, Greg Pincus, and I'm not the Kellogg lady. It's something like that though. Some rich warlord and his daughter became big on making sure black and brown people don't have babies, if you know what I'm saying. That's what cracks me up. Supposedly the liberals are the ones who care the most about black and brown people. Are you freaking nuts? Crazy. All right. Anyway, so I want to start off the thing. Hello, Denise. Oh, okay. My wife cut my hair. Look at that. Yeah, looking good. So most won't. It was about the 7.2 million men not working, the effects of taxation. Okay, guys. Yeah. I can't remember. Carl, it's all good. All good in Hollywood. Yeah, I'm surprised to see you talk about Kevin Samuels because, like, man, Kevin Samuels dropped dead suddenly. What happened to that guy? You know what I'm saying? Kind of Kevin Samuels. I mean, what happened? I was talking to a guy today at Liam's tennis match, and the guy was from Pittsburgh, and he lives here in Georgia, but he met Franco Harris 2 years ago on an airplane. So Franco Harris was freaking, he was fit. He was a great guy. He bulldog, and he died suddenly. Kind of weird. I still say, yeah, we still don't know what happened to Hank Aaron. What happened to Hank Aaron? Still know. Was it Marvelous Hagler, right? But Hank Aaron just was good to go, and then 2 days later, not good to go anymore. That's not weird. That's not weird. Franco Harris, that's not weird. You see this right here? See this chart? All right, so we're going to destroy the doomsday narratives tonight. All right, and if you guys got questions, just make sure you put them in comments, uppercase if you would. Be so kind. Hey, we got Ant Hair switched from YouTube. Rumble seems, Rumble's about 20 seconds behind, right on. But I'm glad to hear, man. There's my man Ant Hair from Rumble. Cool. So if I click on your name, I can mute you for 5 minutes forever, but I can't just reply to you directly. That's kind of weird. Rumble's getting better. They're getting better. So patience with Rumble. I like Rumble. I'm on Rumble a lot. I listen to Owen Benjamin on Rumble, Tom Cowan on Rumble. I do listen to my man Dave Cullen on BitChute. I'm not even sure if he's on Rumble, frankly. And I'm on Rock. I'm not on Rockfin, but my man, all my conspiracy guys are on Rockfin. So if you like conspiracies, that's the Rockfin channels, all that. And so Rockfin crushes. And if you follow Owen Benjamin, Owen Benjamin got kicked off Rockfin for saying something that was too hot. Martin, the guy who founded Rockfin, said, "Oh, it's just too hot, man. It's too hot." So it kicked off Owen Benjamin. It was just, and a lot of people got pissed off. It was like, well, it was just kind of funny. So we did this whole thing. If that's okay with Martin from Rockfin, and they got back. They interviewed. I guess Owen interviewed Martin, and they were texting. They made amends. Rockfin made amends with Owen, so Owen Benjamin is on Rockfin. So it just, if that's okay, Martin from Rockfin is pretty funny. He was with a woman he picked up in Viagra. Ooh, high blood pressure. Yikes. Ooh. My intellectual biases outlook. Oh man, Robert, look at that dog. What a gorgeous puppy, Robert Scott. What kind of dog is that? We got Gordon. Gordon, did you send me the thing on the Wall Street Journal? Because I'm getting ready to show you some of that. Dude, how do these people drink that Red Bull? Oh, I don't get. I've never had one. I'm trying to get away. I imagine it's caffeinated. I'm getting away from caffeine. All right. Anyway, so let's go back to oops. All right, right on. All right, so I want to show you guys something. There's a method to the madness of your buddy Josh here. How dare I? All right, so the blue, I can't remember what the blue is. It's parts per million, CO2. The red is on this, that's the blue on this side, CO2 parts per million. That's the red, which is temperature in Celsius, all right? So if we can take this is literally deep research. Deep research. And my telekinetic Yeti, look at that, telekinetic Yeti, freaking baseball shirt. No, it wasn't for me. Okay. Someone named Gordon sent me the Wall Street Journal thing. All right. And we can see real quick that if we go back CO2 and temperature, long-term view, 600 million years of climate change. What's that? CO2 parts per million, way up here. Temperature, way down here. What? CO2 parts per million drops, temperature goes up. What? CO2 parts per million drop, temperature is way up. What? That's impossible. CO2 leads directly to temperature change. That's what all this scientists tells us. The consensus. Remember, I was arguing with a guy yesterday about consensus. I don't give a two craps about your stupid consensus. I don't. I'm sick of consensus. Consensus allows us to be where we are here today. Oh, but it's a great world. It's a great world if you're a freaking fascist. And I mean fascist literally in the way that the big government, big labor, and big business control everything. I don't want to be controlled by bankers or government. I don't. I don't want to be controlled by that. Bill Buckley used to have a thing, and I think Bill Buckley is a CIA operative, frankly, but used to say he would rather be run by the first 200 people in the Boston phone book than the 200 professors at Harvard. 100%. I don't want to be run by bankers, hedge fund managers, or big government people. I don't want to be run by those people. That doesn't mean I can't be because they're still in charge. Nothing I can do about it. But just because I don't like that doesn't mean I'm a commie. I don't want the big corporations running us anymore. I want big government. And if you think big corporations can't put you up against the wall a la big government, you think they don't align somehow? I mean, really? Big corporations allow big government to put you on the wall a la Che Guevara. It's crazy, man. I don't understand. It's like the people on the right, like, how dare you promote a wealth tax? Because we got to start taking the money from the freaking, these people are so rich, they control the whole freaking world. And they're doing things like the lady with Margaret Sanger, Gregory Pincus there, and I can't remember the lady's name. It's not Kellogg Foundation, but was knee deep in making sure that people were sterile. Black and brown, black and brown. Of course, the Democrats never say, oh, no, we don't want people. Yes, you do. We know that. And I'll show you. I'll prove it to you in just 2 seconds. It's easy. And the point being is, I don't want to be run by those people, but the facts are they have the government approval to do that. All right. So anyway, let's go back. So here's CO2 parts per million way down here. All right. CO2 parts per million way up here. Oh, my goodness. High CO2, low temperature. Low CO2, higher temperature. Is that coincidence? I don't know. 97% of the science say that high CO2 leads to climate change. That's freaking. It's like saying is that if you argue, and none of you guys will because you guys are not that dumb. But if you made that argument, you're just dumb. I'm sorry, you're dumb. And I would say you're ignorant, but if you're making that argument, you're belligerently ignorant, which means you're dumb. Because you're refusing to see what that stupid 97% of all scientists say is stupid. Look, this is kind of like the wage gap. If you make the argument with a wage gap, you're dumb. It's stupid. It's dumb. It's a dumb argument, and it means you're dumb. Yes, I violated what I just said on Saturday about calling people dumb. If you make that argument, you're dumb. That's all there is to it, because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And you're being belligerently ignorant, which I have to say means you're being dumb. No other way around that, because if you just look at anything that argues about the wage gap, you recognize why there's a wage gap. But no one wants to do that because they're dumb. Oh, how dare you? All right, so there you go. See proof right there. 400 part per million in CO2, and the temperature is higher. High CO2 equals low temperatures. Low CO2 equals high temperatures. I just literally just proved it over hundreds of millions of years. You don't want to debate science, do you? You don't want to go against science. But listen, I'm like, oh, yes, I do. But check this out. From the good old University of Connecticut. A climate scientist said, it's relevant to understand that what might happen on Earth in the future. Oh, it talked about what she's talking about. The Permian extinction is what we're talking about here. I'm not going to get to that here, but this lady says, this is a climate scientist who we're paying money to be a climate scientist at the University of Connecticut. It's relevant to understanding what might happen on Earth in the future. The main cause of climate change is related to the massive injection of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere around the time of the extinction, which led to rapid warming. We aren't dealing with bright people here. We're dealing with consensus. Our job on the outside looking in, is to smash the consensus, whatever means necessary, within legal mediums, of course. And that mockery, being a little bit more, what's the word, punching back twice as hard. Sometimes you have to do that because the consensus is so consolidated. You have to hit harder. You got to kind of jab, jab, hook, and bounce back. Jab, jab, hook, bounce back. You see what I'm saying? And you have to do it with mockery. You got to do it with laughter, just mocking, laughing, and you got to punch back twice as hard because they run the show, and what they're leading to is going to be devastating. There's no other way around it. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. Oh yeah. Two top client scientists find further evidence that global warming has been exaggerated. Well, let me show you why. It's the most idiot. And look, we've known this for a long, long time. For anyone who has any kind of sense of ability to actually think, which I get it's a tough task. I don't have it up there. Oh no. I'm gonna have to. We're gonna have to. In fact, just real quick, I'm gonna move this website right here. So one of the websites I've been reading, this guy Doug on YouTube, Jesus Words Only, right here. Pretty interesting. So this is JesusWordsOnly.GiftHub. Competing love for Paul, the Pauline doctrine. We challenge that, and that's something I've been thinking about. Anyway, so hold on a second. I just want Jesus Words Only on YouTube. Lots of good stuff in there, man. If you're willing to challenge the Pauline Orthodox, and I think you should. There's a lot going on there. Like I did a video earlier today. I said, why did they put the Pauline letters? They moved it in front of James and John. I think Peter too. They did. They put it right after those. So there's Gospels, there's Acts, and then there's Pauline stuff. Why? And don't tell me that the order of the Bible has no importance. You know it does. Why is James at the very back? That doesn't? I mean, it seems to me that's kind of odd. Anyway, and especially given that James is Jesus's brother, you're going to tell me Paul, who never met Jesus, by the way, he should come. His letters came before the James stuff. No. So there's a reason that James was put to the back end of the Bible, John, and then Paul was put in front. Why? Why was that? It was about the 400s that happened, 3 to 400s. Why? It's political, dudes. It's political. No two ways around that. And you start saying, well, if they could do that, what else could they do? That's the challenge that we have to contend with. The Arianism, not Aryan race, is Arian, which wasn't bespoken, didn't believe in the Trinity necessarily. They didn't. They said, no, we think the monotheist, God is a monotheist. And the Arianisms was put to the basically sent back and again around the same time, 300 to 400. And that was what the guy who translated Josephus was an Arianism, if that makes sense. William Whitford, who was a brilliant guy. I find him fascinating. But because he did not succumb to the Trinity, they said there's no room for you at the end. Kind of interesting. But how dare you? Yeah, well, that's a problem. A lot of Christians don't know their faith. A lot of climate scientists don't know their faith. A lot of the NASA fanboys don't know their faith. They just don't. You can see in the arguments. They're weak arguments, dudes. You're like, really? It's stunning to me how ignorant people are because they haven't taken the time to think about it. And I get it. I was like that too for many years. I'm not like that. After COVID, I mean, look, I was, like I said in a thing I posted, I was prepared for COVID because I've been challenging the orthodox on climate change for a long time. Second Amendment was a big one right there. The idiots that we had plagiarists of, I forgot the guy's name, who had written a book. I can't remember, back in the late 90s, and he was a plagiarizer. He said basically the founding fathers take on the Second Amendment, and he basically made crap up. I forgot his name, man. I forgot. But anyway. And so I recognized the Second Amendment. They lied to us about that. Then I saw the climate change stuff. They lied to us about that. And then various other things came to mind. So, okay, so I was prepared for COVID. Let's just put it that way. So I'm a little bit ahead of the game in that regard. But if you're still like, oh, if you still think, there's a guy who commented, like, You're just a guy. You think you're smarter than a scientist? I'm like, yeah, I am, because I can think outside the box. The scientists can't. Inherently, they can't. They want to keep their job. If they want to get hired in the first place, you think you're gonna get hired in the physics department if you challenge Einstein? Come on, ain't gonna happen. So if you're gonna, you have to be able to spit out what they want to hear just to get the job. And if you're gonna keep the job, you have to look at Judy Curry, man. Challenge the orthodox on global warming. Warming sea levels bring more hurricanes. She said that's simply not true, and out she went. At Georgia Tech, a woman, by the way, a underrepresented person in STEM, literally wrote a book on thermodynamics. No, but because she says the orthodox that rising warming, ocean warming is leading to more hurricanes. She goes, it's just not true. There's no evidence of that. Out you go, Judy Curry. But I thought we wanted women in STEM at Georgia Tech. No, apparently not. Anyway, so hold on, I want to go and I want to show you guys this. You'll get some financial stuff too. Don't worry. I'm trying to start with the climate change doomsdays because they're idiots. I thought you were gonna stop calling people idiots. Yeah, I thought I was too, and here I am doing it. Did I delete that? Oh, no. Hold on a second. Oh, I thought I saved it. Did I delete that? Bear with me. Let's pause for an announcement from your old buddy Josh. Hold on a second. We'll go to the horse's mouth. Oh man, I guess I'm not going to find it. I can't believe I deleted that thing. Dang it. All right. Anyway, so there's the temperatures, the thermometers of how they measure the temperatures has been an issue from us deniers for a long time. A long time. And now we have more evidence that the thermometers they're using in Australia are just jacked. And I can't find the article. I thought I had it up, but I guess I don't. Anyway, so the point being is everyone, their mom's like, oh my goodness, the thermometers. Well, if you're putting a thermometer under on an airplane tarmac in Phoenix, Arizona, as opposed to on a grassy field, inherently the Phoenix, Arizona tarmac is going to be a lot harder than the grassy field. This isn't rocket science here, and we've known they've been doing that for years and years and years and years. And then we know the data set that they had from the base up until about 1960. We only had for basically North America and Northern Europe. That's it. We didn't have hardly anything in Africa. We didn't hardly anything anyplace. And yet they're going to say our temperature sets show the world is warming. How much did you have in Australia? Yeah, okay. How much you have in Africa? Okay. So stop with how much you have in South America? Yeah. All right, hold on. I got to find this, man. I thought because could have sworn I had that. Yeah, right here. How would I miss that? Okay, right there. It was right there. Okay. So the climate fear is probably even a bigger ticks me off than the financial planning fear, because most people know in their gut they said, I think I got this. But the climate stuff, I think a lot of people don't. So there we go. Legacy electronics botched temperature recordings across Australia. Here's Jennifer something. A few years ago, I reported that the Australian Bureau of Meteorology changed a minimum temperature at the official Goulburn weather station from very chilly minus 10.4 Celsius to a chilly minus 10 Celsius. And they always change it to make it more warmer. So they make it colder in the earlier, 100 years ago and more warmer now. Isn't that weird? The change is always the same way. We know it's like the media. They always promote the left. Same kind of thing with meteorologists. They always make the change as colder before and warmer now. After he protested some more, what I incorrectly assumed was a real value of minus 10.4 was inserted into the online database. I now regret that value having been recorded because I now know it to be a fraud. 2 weeks later, I caught the Bureau doing the same thing at the Thredbo weather station in Australia. changing then deleting a very cold temperature. I now know the temperature archive for Thedbro for July 2017 is a lie. In fact, it's a lie right back to May 2007 when the thermometer was installed to begin with. For more than a decade, many weather stations across the Australian mainland and in Tasmania has had limits on how cold the temperature can be reported. The archive data of some of my friends now call it Seinfeld data. When you see -10 or -10.4 in the Bureau archive or a blank during winter at any of the cold weather station, well, the correct value could well have been -13.2. So all fraud, it'll never stop. And I mean, look, it is. These guys get paid bank on fraudulent stuff. No two ways around that. And they can all kiss my big fat behind. All right, so let's go to this. Why is the whole point of this? I'm telling you. And again, this from the Wall Street Journal. The guy just sent this to me today. The climate crusaders are coming for electric cars too. A new report makes it clear the ultimate goal of the Greens: tiny, uncomfortable apartments and bicycles for all. All right. Problem number one: electric vehicle batteries require loads of minerals such as lithium, cobalt, and nickel, which must be extracted from the ground like fossil fuels. If today's demand for electric vehicles is projected to 2050, the lithium requirements for the U.S. EV market alone, just the U.S. and just electric vehicles, would require triple the amount of lithium currently produced for the entire world that's happening. And this is a group of people at the University of California, Davis, a network of academics and policy experts called the Climate and Community Project. Unlike fossil fuels, these minerals are mostly found in undeveloped areas that have abundant natural fauna and are often inhabited by indigenous people. So again, they say, oh, you just want to go to Iraq to get their oil. I don't know about getting their oil, but certainly keep the dollar. Well, how about we want to go to Africa to get all their freaking cobalt and lithium and stuff? Large-scale mining entails social and environmental harm, in many cases irreversibly damaging landscapes without the consent of the affected communities. Mining requires huge amounts of energy and water. I've said for 1 million times. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. How many 300 watt, 30% efficiency solar panels will it take to create one solar panel? How many? I literally want to know. How many solar panels will it take to create one? All right. I just want to know that. You need a solar panel. You do not have a solar panel. We need one. We have to create it using only solar panels to do everything. How many would that take? And the answer is we don't know. No one has any idea, because the number of solar panels required to do that would be so astronomically large, it's even silly to engage in this exercise. People come at you with all kinds of things like, okay, how are you going to get the materials out of the ground for your silicon? How are you going to get that with energy source, electricity, essentially based on solar? How are you going to do that, guy? And no one knows. How are you going to melt the steel? How are you going to do all that? Yeah, we're talking no fossil fuels, just solar panels. That's it. We want to stop fossil fuels. We just want to use solar panels. How are you going to get that? All right. According to the report, mining accounts for 4 to 7% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Remember, the biggest greenhouse gas is, who knows what the biggest greenhouse gas is? Question number one for the peanut gallery. Who knows what the biggest greenhouse gas is? Anybody? Anybody? I know one of you guys knows. Hey, we've got Maggie on here. Right. If the ultra-rich control government and institutions, how do you get a law passed to take money from them? That's a good question, Aunt Hera. That's a great question. Yeah. So Aunt Hera on Rumble says, how you get, if the ultra-rich control the government, how are you going to get a law passed to take money from them? That's exactly it. You're not, most likely. But at least you can pretend or try. Maggie says, I like the title Doomsdayers DENIED. I'm a doomsday prepper, but not for God's people to go. It's almost doomsday for the evil ones. Yeah, they always say that, though. I mean, it's going to be doomsday when God so chooses. We don't know the time, almost like the Bible tells us. We don't know the time or how or the hour. Not cow farts. That's cow farts. Methane is one for sure, but it's not the number one. What is the number one greenhouse gas? Anybody? Yeah, right here. After all, the majority fell for COVID, pulling off climate fears. It won't. It already is, man. Get your climate passports ready. I'll give you guys a couple more seconds, but Carl had the guts to say cow forest methane. Just it's nobody. It's water vapor by far and away. Water vapor is the number one. Yep, right on. There we go. Big celery, water vapor. Nothing comes close. Water vapor is by far and away the biggest greenhouse gas, followed by CO2, followed by methane, followed by nitrous oxide, and the last one I can't remember. But there's 5 basically major sources of greenhouse gas. But water vapor is like so far above everything else. CO2 is a far, far distant second, followed by methane, nitrous oxide. Anyway, so the point being is you until you deal with water vapor, you're inherently going to have massive amounts of greenhouse gases, and that's okay. CO2 is not number one, not even close, not even close. The idea that someone says CO2 is number one because if memory serves her, money, you've been around here before, and I think that I got my eye on you, brother man. CO2 is not even close to number one greenhouse gas, not even close. Water vapor by far. CO2 is number 2, a distant second. All right, so let's go back to the article. All right, so remember, when they're talking about 4 to 7% of global greenhouse gas emissions, what are they talking about? Well, let's assume they're talking about CO2, maybe methane. Well, let's assume they're talking about CO2 because we go down to the next article, the paragraph. More mining to make more EVs will increase CO2 emissions. It will also destroy the tropical forests and deserts that currently suck CO2 out of the atmosphere, the report says. So they're trying to already tell you, look, all you guys think you're going green with your EVs. We're trying to warn you that this isn't, all you're going to do is create more CO2 because we want to tell you what the future holds. Electrification of the U.S. transportation system will massively increase the demand for electricity while the transition to a decarbonized electricity grid is still underway. I want to point, there's another reason I'm pointing this out here. Electrification of the U.S. transportation system will massively increase the demand for electricity. What else will massively increase the demand for electricity as a way to heat your home? Anyone now? Anyone? What's another way as a way to heat your home will increase the load on the grid? All right, think this through for a second. This is easy peasy. What are they encouraging you to do? Horribly so in most of these northern climes, UK, Maine, other places, to get rid of what and to get into what to heat your home. And now idiots will say, oh, these X are very efficient. That's what an idiot will say. They're very efficient. And they'll say, yes, good luck with that when it gets real cold, and good luck with that when everything is electrified and the grid heat pumps right there. John, you're right on. And get right on, John. Heat pumps. And good luck with that when the electricity is contingent on your compliance. All right. So fools, I'm being fired up tonight, man, because this whole thing just ticks me off. Electrification is the end game for these people. Why? Because they can turn off your electricity at the drop of a hat. They can do the same thing with municipal water. We saw that during COVID. We saw that. They can do the same thing with electricity. If you're on a heat pump, first of all, if you're in the cold, you're freaking stupid because you need a backup. Everyone knows this. You're going to have fossil fuels for a backup. Be it natural gas, a burning of natural gas, or be it just good old-fashioned trees. If you don't have a backup and you're in a cold climate and all you're relying on is a heat pump, that's idiotic. Now, what 80% of the time, 90% of the time do fine? Yeah. All it takes is 1% of the time to kill you, though. That's it. Right now, on top of that, so let's keep going. Because this is the plan. Electrify everything. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Right here. What about suburbanites who need cars to get around? Because they talk about getting rid of cars, making everyone, because we have high density neighborhoods they want, big high rises like these doomsday scenarios you see in China. Reducing car dependency will require low density suburbs while allowing more people to live in existing high density urban spaces. Translation: force more people to live in shoebox apartments in cities by making suburbs denser and less appealing. But it's not a fringe view on the left. The Natural Resource Defense Council reported last year on lithium mining also concluded the government needs to reduce long-term dependency on single passenger vehicles. California's Democratic legislator even passed a bill creating a $1,000 tax credit for households that don't own cars. Governor Newsom vetoed the bill, citing its budget costs, but he supported the approaches to incentivize a transition from vehicles to more sustainable transportation. The looming shortage of minerals will cause prices for electric vehicles. Look, EVs are not going to replace everything. It's just it's pipe dream, freaking fart stuff. Uniform. It's not. Don't. I wouldn't buy an EV to save my life. If you do have one, I'm not yelling at you. But if you think they're going to expand EVs beyond, probably 10% of the population, you're nuts. It's not going to happen. The looming shortage of minerals will cause prices for EVs to rise inexorably. Soon, Americans may not be able to afford to buy a car even with a government subsidy. Then they'll have no choice but to use mass transit or dust off their old 10-year-old 10-speed bike. Progressive ultimate goal is to reduce consumption and living standards because they believe humans are a menace to the earth. 100%. They don't want you in an electric vehicle anyway. They want you in nothing. They don't want you to consume. And this is what we on the right have been arguing against these lefties for years, who just are under this freaking unicorn pixie dust of, oh, everyone has an electric vehicle, everyone has a heat pump, oh, it's going to be great. You cannot live the life you're accustomed to with an all electrification source of load. You can't. It's simply not going to happen. But do you think that Sniffy Joe and his band of bandits over there in friggin' DC are going to sacrifice their ability to go to France or wherever the hell they go when they're freaking flying in an airplane that's spewing out CO2? No. But why are the fools so eager to fall for it? I'm going to buy an EV and a heat pump. It's going to be great. Be great. When you have massive demand on the grid and you're reducing the generation to meet that demand. I literally don't see how people don't see this. The electric vehicle market is a niche. Nothing inherently wrong with a niche. It will never take over as an ICE, internal combustion engine. Never. We don't have the resources. We don't have the capacity to generate the electricity needed. And then you add heat pumps in the mix. So the load of an electric vehicle plus the load of heating a home on electricity is insane. So let's go to part 3 of this. All right. So this is where some fools on my main channel, I haven't posted a video there in a couple of days. I will tomorrow. This one right here. What to do if your main electric bill suddenly spikes? Why would your electricity bill suddenly spike? Robert Oates thought he was getting a good deal through an electricity supplier recommended by his neighbors 3 years ago. Then things went south fast when his electric bill spiked suddenly. The 79-year-old Rockwood used a competitive energy provider, Smart Energy, and readily admits he didn't read the fine print. There's a smart supplier and a dumb consumer, he says. Me, at least admit it. He got out of the contract and went back to the standard offer price, but not before he paid $1,200 for what he saw as an excess billing over the last half of 2022. With supply disruptions pushing energy prices up sharply, regulators and utilities are getting rash consumer complaints. Yep. Why have prices risen so much? Let's see if the media gives us a fair shake here. I haven't read this article. I'm predicting they are. But I saw Maine and New England rely heavily on fossil fuels to generate electricity. That's crazy. Fossil fuels, natural gas, what? Natural gas supply disruptions due largely to the war in Ukraine have increased the price of fuel. So just think about this. Eliminate this. Maine and New England rely heavily on fossil fuels to generate electricity. Then we can say Maine and New England relied not at all on fossil fuels to generate electricity because Sniffy Joe said, I'm going to get rid of fossil fuels, kiddo, in his campaign. So how do you get the electricity there, guy? Oh, you get it from wind, cow farts, the wind, and the sun. It's not going to happen, dude. So they're going to electrify everything. They're going to increase the demand for the electricity, and they're going to reduce the supply for the electricity. What happens to prices then? They skyrocket, just like Obama said in his 2008 campaign. Under my plan, electricity prices will naturally have to skyrocket. Wake the hell up, get these freaking electrification folks out of the hell out of the office and say no, say niet, as us Putin stooges would say. Niet. It's freaking evil, dudes. They're going to put everybody on the grid for everything, and then they can turn the grid off at a dime. Oh, but Josh, I have solar. Oh, for the love of all that's good, man. If you're grid tied, you are not off the grid. People are so ignorant about how grid tied works for solar. They don't understand. It's actually just sad, frankly. It's embarrassingly sad how people don't get it. They literally think if they have solar, they're off grid, or that they don't need to rely on the grid anymore. Oh, you, my feathered friends, yes, you do. You are knee deep in the grid as much as anyone else, and in some ways even more, because you're actually getting a kickback to sell the electricity back. And of course, a lot of these markets don't have any need for your excess electricity at the time you're selling it back, because that's when the sun's out. When they need it most is when it's dark out right now or cold, and the sun isn't out when it's dark out. So you can sell your grid back at a premium at 12 noon, but they don't need it. They got too much voltage going for those lines. They're like, no, don't give us that. At some point, they're gonna say we don't have anything to do with this, so we're gonna cut back on giving you the subsidy of you selling your electricity back. Just the whole thing's nuts, dude. All because of the fear of CO2, which happens to be what? What is CO2? Anyone want to tell? Anyone want to tell? Did he actually say, Jeff, that fossil fuels will be gone in 10 years? That's crazy. That's crazy. Hey, there's May Filipina vlog. All right. Well, we got lots of gentlemen on this chat who are married Filipino ladies, so you'll fit right in, May. I'm not familiar with you though, but you look young. I'm not sure if this is the right place for you, sister. But hey, that's cool. That's cool. Love to have you. Well, if you, Herman's not the brightest. I remember Herman a couple times ago. Not the brightest bulb. This guy. Elon said you can power the U.S. with solar panels spanning a small portion of Texas. Oh my goodness. It hurts my head. It hurts my head. My head hurts to hear that comment. It hurts. It hurts. Governor Gruesome, you got it. Oh, are people really look, I'm not sure if you're joshing me or you're just not that bright. Are people really, they really think that? So what's wrong with what this guy says? Power the U.S. All right. What's wrong with this guy says? What are you talking about could be true? All right. Energy includes electricity. Electricity is one source of energy, a big source, mind you. Electricity needs to be generated somehow, or it needs to be stored. All right. So a small portion, look, it's just so stupid, but I'm going to share with you real quick. You take one solar panel, 25% efficiency, we'll call it 200 watts. The average sunshine in the United States, in terms of converting that to watts, is roughly about 170 watts. All right, so you take 25% efficiency, one solar panel is about 1 square meter. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to do those numbers. We've done them. Many people have done them. And you're not going to power the things you want on solar. Because when the sun doesn't shine, there ain't no power. If you think wind is going to solve that, I introduce you to the National Grid of England. And you can look for yourself and see that wind doesn't solve it. Never mind the fact that wind will give you about 3 to 4 watts per square meter. So we're getting about 40 watts per square meter with a 25% efficiency solar panel. Yeah. Ain't happening. On top of that, you can't store it. There's no place to store it. Oh, lithium, Elon Musk is wall. Oh, these people don't have the slightest idea. Don't have the slightest idea. They don't know. I wish I could be that ignorant. They don't know. And the facts are, because they hear these things from Elon Musk, the smartest guy or a physicist from Caltech, they're like, oh my goodness, these guys are so smart. They have to know. So we have no battery power to store the electricity that we need. Again, we're just talking about electricity. Transportation is a big source of energy, and that's not run on. I mean, you're not going to haul friggin' products from China to here on electricity. It ain't going to happen. So transportation is energy consumption, which is probably a third of our total energy consumed is energy. I think electricity is like 60% or something like that. So what's happening here is, well, it's not even oil. It's good old-fashioned nuclear for electricity. Nuclear, you take a little tiny thing of uranium, you're good to go. So remember, you take the amount of coal, just to give an example, fill up Yankee Stadium. One golf ball of uranium would equal the same output of electricity or density or storage, however you want to look at it. The same output, the same one golf ball of uranium would give you the same output of electricity as a Yankee Stadium filled with coal. Times are changing, Josh. Elaborate. You heat your house in the north however you want. And you can use heat pumps. When it gets cold, you doggone better have a backup. You better have a backup. And if you think electrification is going to solve climate change for a monster that doesn't exist called CO2, you don't know what they're talking about. Not Chuck, my man Chucky Burgett. CO2 is a nutrient. I just proved, maybe you guys are late. I just proved right here. CO2 and temperature, long-term view. CO2 is in the blue. Right here. CO2. Oops. High. Temperature low. CO2 today, 400 parts per million. Low. Temperature high. CO2 high. Temp low. CO2 low. Temp high. Yeah, I got no qualms with you. I got no qualms with them. I know they go fast off the freaking red light. I know that. And they're quiet as a church mouse. I got no qualm with them. But if anyone thinks they're going to become the majority, if not outright, everyone's going to drive them, they don't know what they're talking about. There's not enough resources for this. We need nuclear power for electricity. There's no two ways around it. No two ways around it. And we do burn wood for electricity. It's called biomass. And what they do in England is they take the freaking. Let me just look at the national grid real quick. The English national grid. They take wood from the virgin forests in North Carolina, Mississippi, and whatnot, and then they put them into They used to have this oil, maybe it was a coal plant called Drax in England. They got rid of that, and so now it's a biomass where they ship wood chopped down from virgin forest here in the southeast over the water, the Atlantic, with an engine that isn't run on friggin' solar panels. Let's put it that way. And they bring it to England. They have this huge pellets area that has a biomass that you can convert to electricity. Not very efficient, but they consider that renewable. Okay, literally, it's idiotic. But hey, I mean, it works. It works if you're realistic, saying that's not that's not how it's supposed to work. But they do it. I get it. It's all good. They can do whatever they want. So let's look at the national grid here in England. I like solar. When I get my retirement house, I have solar and a massive battery array, 100%. If you think everyone can do that, not my man Liberty, you're wrong. If you think he can do it for the whole country, it's stupid. Literally dumb. At this point, there's no reason to think that's ignorant. It's just because ignorant just means you don't know. If you still don't know and you're spouting silly stuff like Elon Musk says we can power the entire U.S. on just a small part of Texas, that's just idiotic, dude. I'm sorry. It's an idiotic statement. No time for idiocy here. There's a war. I just told you they want reduction in consumption. They don't want us to live the lives we're living, man. And that people think that we can continue to live the lives we're living on solar and wind. That's the issue. We've got to nip that in the bud right away. And you have to laugh at people who say that because those people are being stupid. And you got to say, I don't take kindly to stupid people when it comes to my family's well-being. That's what they want. It's idiotic to think our economy can run the way it is on now on solar, wind, and biomass. And because they don't like hydro anyway. They hate hydro. They don't want the dams. And there's some legitimacy to that argument, I grant you. So hydro is not the solution. It'll never be the solution anyway. So hydro isn't it. It's going to be solar, wind, and biomass. That's it. If you're not including nuclear changes everything. And they're slowly starting to get on it. But by the time they do, all these promises, like in Minnesota now, I think they said 2030 or 2035, the entire state will be run on renewable electricity. And if you buy that, I got some oceanfront property in Arizona. I will bet you $1 million, which I don't have, to say we'll just pretend monopoly money that I guarantee in 2035 the state of Minnesota will not be running solely on renewable energy. I guarantee. It ain't gonna happen. It's an impossibility. Stupid. All right, so let's look at the national grid here, and I'm literally just looking at it now. This is for England or the UK. How dare I? And we're gonna check out this. And so we got the national grid right now. The demand is 26.67 gigawatts. All right. So that's just what it is right at this very minute. Whoa, wind is giving us all 4 of those gigawatts. What? How dare they? Where is solar? Where is solar? Well, we know where solar is going to be because it's nighttime. And solar went night. And we can see solar is right. I thought it was down here. Yeah, right here. It's going to be hard to see. Solar, where the hell is solar? Man, it was down. It was, I get it over here. Hold on a second. Daily. Right here. Solar, daily hydro pump bio solar. And you can see solar gave us at 1.6 gigawatts. Wow, we got 6 gigawatts at high noon of solar. Wow. Now, mind you, it's giving us nothing now. All right, so it's at what's that? 1 o'clock at 1300, solar gave us about 6 gigawatts of electricity. At 1300, we needed 40 gigawatts of electricity. Yeah. So solar gave us 6. We needed 40. Our daily demand for electricity in UK is about 35 gigawatts or so. So what we do is we take the 35 gigawatts, we times that by 12, and we times that by 24 to give us the gigawatt hours we need. All right. So then what? Whoa. Okay. So then we take this. That's not going to get us anywhere near the gigawatt hours we need because that only maybe an hour of time it gave us. It was at 6, about 6 gigawatt hours. It's not going to come close. We'll say it gave us 30 gigawatt hours solar did in England. It's not going to come close to the amount of gigawatt hours we need. It's literally a freaking drop in the bucket. Wind, on the other hand, in England does a lot better. But still, wind as a whole doesn't do that. We got 16 right now. Where is wind? Wind has its own place because wind is a bigger producer right here. Wind. So wind is in blue. Oh my! What? What? Wind basically gives us our baseline. Wind is like, look at that. Here's nuclear. Not killing any friggin' baby eagles. And there's nuclear and there's wind. Just a little bit over nuclear right there. What do you think is more efficient? What do you think is more easier to run? So wind's way down here. Oh my goodness, what's this right here? CCGT is combined cycle gas turbines, are gas turbines whose hot exhausts are used to drive a boiler and steam engines. The two-stage process makes them very efficient in gas usage. Listen. They're also quite fast to get online. less than an hour in general, so they are used to cover the profitable peak demand and balance the wind output because we need to have a baseline, all right? And we can't have a baseline when we have this. Not going to do it because that does it for basically an hour of a day. That's it. Wind, on the other hand, it gives us a low amount, but we can't rely on that because if we look at wind during the last couple of weeks in UK, it was very intermittent. Intermittent energy. What? Anyway, this is idiotic, folks. This is idiotic. Do you know how much money UK has put into wind? Now you can argue, well, solar is cloudy out there in the UK. Yeah, exactly. It's idiotic. It's idiotic. Oh, it's nuts. So many people. We're just talking with dummies about how solar and wind. Okay, Robert, are you that dumb? I like your dog, but I mean, look, I don't have $1 million to bet you. Robert hasn't done the least bit of math. He hasn't. He just listens to our betters, the physicists. They tell us it's going to work. They promise. They promise. You know why? Because they're physicists. They're going to make it work. It's basic math, dude. It's embarrassing. Embarrassing. But it's getting worse than embarrassing. You know why? Because now you're impacting my ability to live with my family. And when that happens, and because of you, people start freezing. And they start having massive electricity prices, massive amounts of freaking prices to electrify their home, to heat their home, because everyone's been forced on heat pumps. I'm going to blame you because you fell for it. What else did somebody fall for a couple years ago? I don't know about Robert. I guarantee Robert fell for the massive, you know what, the Maxine Waters. I guarantee you. Who wants to take a bet? Did Robert Scott fall for the Maxine Waters? Did Robert Scott fall for the Maxine Waters? The problem is, Robert, I'm a realist. You're not. I've been hearing these same promises for decades. I have this ability to use this green matter in my head, and you don't. That's all there is to it. This is like socialism versus capitalism. Can't remember who said this. Maybe it was Thomas Sowell. Socialism gets judged on its promises. Capitalism gets judged on its results. So with capitalism, the result is you will always have people who are poor, and thus we hold capitalism accountable. Socialism, they get judged on their promises. It's going to be utopia. There'll be no poor. It's going to be great. And they get judged on that. And that's what Robert just lives on the promises. Let's just go. Let me show you one other thing, because I guarantee you, Robert, not the brightest bulb when it comes to this. I'm willing to bet that Robert took the Maxine Waters because he said, why would they lie? The CDC. Let's see if I got that. Do I have my Jimmy Carter thing here? I hope I do. Hold on a second. Yeah, I'm not in a good mood to deal with these kind of people, man. Oh, yes, I do. Can I show this to you guys? Let's see if I can. Hold on a second. I hope I can. Oh, man. I hope I can. This would be great. It'd be fun. If I can show this, it'd be great. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to present slides. What slide? No slides. Okay. Present. Share screen. Entire screen. Make sure I get no. All right, hold on a second. Yeah, good. Entire screen. No. So I'm going to present my entire screen for a second. Let's see what you guys can see. Hold on a second. I want to go present window. No, I can't show it. I don't know. One of these days I'm gonna figure out how to do this. I just always forget. So present. Let me hold on a second. We'll go here. There we go. There we go. All right. Hold on a second. I'm gonna show you this. My screen. I think I can do this. Hold on a second. This will be fun. You'll get a kick out of this. It's been a while since I brought this up, and it'll be fun. All right. There we go. So I'm going to present my screen, go back here, and well, 1 second. What we're going to do is we're going to have fun at Robert's expense. Sorry, but we're going to do it anyway because that's just the way I am. I'm that kind of guy. I'm in that kind of mood. And sorry. All right. Present. Share screen. Oops, I want to go present. Share screen, entire slide. Right. Let's see what happens. Oh man, I guess I can't do it. Oh. All right, so let me just read you what Jimmy Carter said. So Jimmy Carter said this is in August 22nd, 1978, the Wall Street Journal. Walter Mossberg had written this article. For those of you guys that read the Wall Street Journal as long as I have, you'd recognize Walter Mossberg became their tech guy in the late 80s and early 90s into the 90s. Solar power seen meeting 20% of needs by 2000. Carter may seek outlay boost. So this is August 22nd, 1978. Wall Street Journal, Walter Mossberg. Solar power seen meeting 20% of needs by 2000. Carter may seek outlay boost. He wasn't just talking about electricity, amigos. He was talking about entire energy. He was talking about 20% of the U.S. energy needs. He wasn't just talking about electricity. It's so embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for people who think this way because they just don't know their butts from the hole in the ground. And they'll say, you have no vision. These same people say, going their way, oh, you want to go back to horse and buggies. Going from a horse and buggy to an internal combustion engine was a massive increase. Massive. Going from an internal combustion engine to an electric vehicle is not only is it not a massive increase in your capabilities, it's actually going backwards. This isn't debatable. ICE, horse and buggy to ICE was huge, dude. Huge. It changed everything. ICE to EV is not huge. It steps back. That's not a progress. That's regress. So the fact that he didn't believe in indoor plumbing, says Robert Scott, I don't know that. I don't actually buy that for 2 seconds. I don't care because it's still idiotic to think that solar and wind are going to do this because the numbers don't exist. And what they'll always say is, oh, the efficiency of solar. They don't know how it works. They'll always say that. We're getting better and better efficiencies. They don't know the physics behind the source. They don't know the sun's rays. They just don't. And they'll show some freaking place in, I don't know, Case Western University or something like that, or University of Michigan, where in a lab, they're able to get 35% efficiencies turning solar energy into electricity. That's what photovoltaic is. You're taking the sun's energy and you're turning it to electric that you can use. That's photovoltaic. There's solar thermal, which I freaking love, dude. Again, you're not going to get solar thermal to do anything in terms of a whole nation. It's not going to happen. Anyway, so what happens is there's some lab, and I almost want to say it's Case Western, but I can't remember. And they're able to convert 35% efficiency. And everyone's like, oh my goodness, it just goes to show that we can do this. People know what the hell they're talking about. It's great you can do it in a lab. It ain't going to happen anyplace else. It's not. And the whole point about this is, again, going back to the idea that CO2 is the bad guy. CO2 is what feeds your freaking plants. The reason the world is getting greener is because the parts per million for CO2 has gone up from a horrific 200 to 400 over the last 50 years or so. That's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. That's why the world's getting greener. This isn't debatable either. The world is getting greener because there's more CO2. CO2 is a nutrient for plants. Ask any guy who tries to grow marijuana in his basement. He's going to try to pipe in CO2. Yeah. I can't take it. Look, the the climate change fools of all people, the Second Amendment people are gone. We've beaten back them easily. That was easy on second. So starting my career, we had to beat back the anti Second Amendment because they were large. They were just like Robert, ignorant, and a lot of them were spewing evil stuff. Eliminating your ability to own a firearm, whatnot. And, why do we need a firearm? The rest of the world doesn't have it. It doesn't matter. A rifle behind every blade of grass is always that's yeah, I think it's probably a fake quote, but attributed to the Japanese emperor. But it's one I still love, and even if it's fake or not, we'll make it not fake now. Hey, a rifle behind every blade of grass. An armed society is a polite society, baby. So what we do is we've beaten that back and we won because of Wayne LaPierre and the NRA having the guts to stand strong. The climate change people came next, and they're still out there. They're slowly starting to lose, but it's taking a lot longer than we ever thought. A lot longer, and we're starting to get some positive action on nuclear because the idiots who said, "Oh my goodness, the Jane Fonda movie and whatever that guy's name is, the melting China syndrome, which just happened ironically to coincide with the 3 Mile Island. How ironic! How ironic! Why would big oil not like nuclear? Anyone want to take a guess? Why would the Rockefeller machine not like nuclear? And why would they then create some kind of movie with nuclear melting to the China syndrome, and then literally within weeks the 3 Mile Island happened? That's just a coincidence. But anyway, we're finally starting to get some. So remember the whole point about why we had coal was big in the 70s because we thought we were running out of natural gas. We literally thought we were running out of natural gas. So we had to increase our production. Literally, this is what was happening because we didn't have fracking, hydraulic fracturing. We didn't have any of that. So we thought we were running out of natural gas. So Jimmy Carter's like, not only do you have to wear sweaters at night, but we're going to have to bring back coal because that's our one place to use for electricity generation. And they went the clean coal thing. A lot of people don't know that, but they're big on promoting coal back then in the 70s because we were literally worried about running out of natural gas. It's a pretty scary time. Now, this is before I knew any of this stuff was happening, but just some basic research. Anyway, so you're like, wow, that's crazy. Anyway, so then we got my man George Mitchell from I want to say Texas A&M, I think, who developed hydraulic fracturing, and that changed everything, dudes. Everything. The U.S. Geological Survey, USGS. It's amazing the days of peak oil, how it keeps getting pushed back. It's nuts. It's great because we have enough, carbon fluids, hydrocarbons to provide us all the electricity, all the power we need for many, many years to come. I would actually still rather not do that. I'd rather go straight to nuclear. Nuclear is clean, it's efficient, it's safe. 100%. I'd much rather go to nuclear than having to dig mine. And I'd love to stick in the freaking backs to shank the big oil industry anyway. I'd love to be able to do that. And it's coming. Small modular reactors, SMRs, and that's going to be a game changer. Small modular reactors are going to be a game changer. So the issue is we got the greenies like Robert who thinks of solar and wind, who's probably anti-nuclear. Can't have that, dude. Those guys got to go back to the back of the line. If you're pro efficiency, nuclear is the only way. If you don't like CO2 for some ungodly reason, okay, nuclear is the only way. If you want to maintain your living standard. If you don't want to maintain your living standard, then we're going to go the way of the horse and buggies, which is more electrification, more cost, less efficiency. There's no other way around that unless they're able to generate the demand, to generate the electricity production. So that's what's got to happen. And we beat back the Second Amendment people. We're slowly beating back the Vaxholes, the Maxine Waters, but it was amazing turn of events actually when it came to the last go around in 2020. That was literally amazing. It caught this anti-V by. I was like, wow, my side is actually being taken seriously for once. I couldn't believe it because when I was yapping about anti-vaccines, people called me Jenny McCarthy and a fool. You don't know the science. I was like, dude, you don't know the science. It's the same arguments I have all over this climate change stuff. But the climate change stuff is still there and it's strong. And it's funded by rich scumbags, which is why, going back to what I said before, a wealth tax would be great. A wealth tax would be wonderful to remove the rich scumbags from their ability to fund things like Extinction Rebellion, the stupid rich kids in Europe who are flying all over the world and going down to Africa and trying to blow up pipelines there. We had a state of emergency in Nevada just 2 days ago because a pipeline had a mass leak. And everyone's like, "Oh my goodness, what state of emergency in Nevada? Oh my goodness, oh my goodness." Well, that's what you guys are encouraging these rich scumbags to go down to Africa and blow up pipelines. So poor brown people and black people don't have access to cheap, efficient, and clean electricity. It's a freaking war, people. It's a war. And to sit on your hands and like let people like Robert Scott say, "Oh, you have a vision." No, I have a vision. And the vision's freaking ugly if we follow you. The vision has nothing to do with what you see because this vision has been going on for years and years. Paul Ehrlich, never mind Thomas Malthus. We've had visions like this for years and years and years of world chaos, world climate change, decay, destruction, and has led to where we are today, which you have a massive amount of people in what we call the third world who don't have enough electricity at all. They don't have anything, a massive amounts of people. And we can solve that just like this. But they don't want that because black and brown people are a burden to society and poor white trash too, I might add. These people hate those people. That's why going back to I started this whole thing with Gregory Pincus and Margaret Sanger. And I can't remember the lady's name who went to Puerto Rico and were practicing on sterilization. No different than we're doing Tuskegee. And no different what they might have been doing with the Maxine Waters, you know what I'm talking about. Remains to be seen. We don't know what the uptake will be on sterilization because maybe the people who are getting the Maxine Waters, we don't know if they're starting to have babies or not yet. We don't know. It'll come here shortly, and I got a bad feeling about that. Anyway, so what happened was, so now we're starting to beat back the vax holes. I'm like, wow, that was a strange turn of events. It's sad that had it happen, but it makes, at the end of the day, there's always a good with every bad, and you got to take the good when you can. And so I'm pretty fired up about that. All right, so now we're starting to see things. We're like, oh, starting to move the ball a little bit, and finally the direction of freedom, medical rights, medical autonomy, and hopefully energy autonomy with small modular reactors. And if you want to get your own solar array, I got no qualm with that. I just say if you're getting your own solar array, I don't know why you wouldn't do batteries. I mean, look, if you're doing it solely because you think it's going to reduce your electricity bill, there's some legitimacy to that. I got no issue with that at all. But it's only going to reduce your electricity bill until the government says no more. And the government, I'm just telling you, the government, be it your state, be it California, I don't care, freaking Delaware, Arizona, at some point, they don't have the capacity to take the surplus electricity on their grid. They just don't. Too much voltage going through those lines. And so they're going to say, we can't take this back. And then you're going to be paying just as much as everybody else. And so what happens now, and it's no different than electric vehicles. They're giving EV, these subsidies on electric vehicles, no gas tax, all that stuff, but they're still using the same roads that you and I are. We pay a gas tax, because we use the roads. Electric vehicle users they don't pay a gas tax and they use the roads. And the governments know that's got to come to an end, especially on the EVs and solar, because it's only the rich who can take advantage of those subsidies. And so as what we see here, that all that stuff's going to collapse. So if you're sitting there thinking, I'm going to get solar because reduce my electricity bill, well, that'll be reduced until the government says, yeah, we're not going to allow those subsidies anymore. Now, if you want to get a big old battery bank, that's a way to go, dude. I mean, my man, Hack My Solar, Sean Mills, I think his name, Sean Mills up in Tennessee. I think he's 100% off grid up there in Tennessee, but he's got solar, he's got propane, he's got diesel generators. I think he's even got a couple of wind turbines, hackmysolar.com. That's the way to do it right there. But it's not cheap. It's not easy. But he's off grid. Yeah, it's good. I don't mind being on grid. I like being on grid. It's easy. Just turn on the lights. There you go. But I don't want to be forced to electrify my entirety of my life, cars, natural gas. I don't want that. All right, so we're winning. It's just slowly but surely we're winning. It's taken, and there are a lot of people a lot of bodies left behind, and it's just sad. But the problem is, you can no longer allow these people to feel they have the upper hand with the physicists. Those days are gone, dude. Those days, for me, they are. And if you want to be, look, I can't, unless they're new here, you would know my take that I don't. Yeah, the Americans blew up the Nord Stream, Poon Smith. You know that for me, that we know that the physicists lie big time. All right, we know that these guys do. So if the physicists are lying about things, who else is lying about things? The climate scientists we know are lying about things. Doesn't mean they're all lying. Doesn't mean they're all honest. Doesn't mean they're all lying. It just means at the end of the day, it's time to some self-reflection and say, I'm just because you say you're a scientist or a physicist doesn't mean jack squat to me. Joe Mama is right, Rob Glow. Rob Glow says Poonsmith, Joe Mama blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. How ironic was that? Because how much uh, pollution did that emit? But remember, everything is based on energy. Without energy, cheap, reliable energy, you got nothing. And that's what they want. Yeah. Well, you're in Tampa, brother. Yeah. So he's got a 10, his unit solar. Look, I find it very attractive to buy solar panels for your home, 100%. Install those puppies, and I would highly suggest, especially if you can afford it, to get a battery bank. But my man here lives in Tampa. He's got a 10 kilowatt heat strip for those very rare cold days when the heat pump needs some support. 100%. That's Tampa. All right, so let's. All right, so that's what I want to talk about. That. So we've destroyed the silliness of solar and wind of climate change. All right, so those people are just the doomsdays. Be aware. You don't play here anymore. Those days are gone. I'm sick of it, and I hope you guys are too. It's dumb. It's dumb. Electricity, cheap, efficient, easy to turn on electricity can only be found through nuclear. I'd love to go nuclear so that we get rid of oil. Oil is bad. Rockefeller clan is bad. Any way we can stick it to those guys would be a wonderful, wonderful thing. All right. So then I had something on. I thought this would. Hold on a second. So let's get rid of National Grid. Let's get rid of that. Close up some windows. Let's check out Governor Gruesome. Yes, ma'am. Look at Odyssey. I don't see any chats on Odyssey. That's okay. It's all good. All right. And we're going to go over to, hold on just a second. Right there. All right, sweet. Yay. All right, so we're going to go back. Here's my man, Sudipu Banerjee with T. Rowe Price. All right, my man works for T. Rowe Price, Sudipu. A better understanding of spending patterns may transform retirement income solutions. Income replacement. Can you all see this? Yeah, actually, Chad makes a good point real quick. The doomsdayers on both sides, I completely agree. There's lots of doomsdayers on the right too. Joe Biden is going to, look, I'm so over it. I am so over that crap. I'm so over the Obama, Joe Biden, Clinton. I mean, that's weak-minded stuff. You know, it just is silly. Now, I don't know what the hell's going on with China. I'm curious. I mean, you must be pro-China. No, how many military bases does China have spread all over the world? How many? How many does the United States? I think we're done here. So maybe this is some of the reason why the whole thing with Ukraine, can I say this on YouTube, started is because the belligerency was coming from one side of the equation, and finally someone's on the other side of the equation and says, I can't allow this anymore. You guys are getting too close. And that one side that was starting the belligerency wasn't even a NATO. What? They weren't even part of NATO? That's crazy. And Turkey is part of NATO. Speaking of which, let's say prayers for our people in Turkey and Syria. Dear Heavenly Father, oh, the anguish those people in Turkey and Syria must be going through right now. Oh, Joe Stalin said, break one egg and it's a tragedy. Break a dozen eggs and it's an omelet. May us not overlook the tragedy that's happening for those tens of thousands of people who are dead, tens of thousands yet to be found, certainly tens of thousands more, hundreds of thousands maimed. It's a tragedy of just, I can, it's can unfathomable imagination. I can't begin to describe, Lord. Only you know. But for every bad action, something good comes out of it. I don't know what it is. Maybe we just turn to you, God, in our times of trouble and wonder and say, why, God? Why would you allow that to happen? But who are we to question you? You know we don't. The best thing is questioning. You gave us a gray matter to question you. And we may or may not find the answer, but we'll trust in you that all things are done according to your plan. For whatever reason, just have trust and faith and just pray for those people. We pray in Jesus' name, amen. That turkey thing really, man, oof. No, 100%, Joe. Because they've been saying climate change. Look, they've been saying the doomsdays forever. And the doomsday on the right is more, the Russians or the freaking commies. And just, I fell for that for many years. Or the Muslims, was it the commies? There's a commie under every bed. Pretty soon it's going to be a Muslim under every bed. ISIS. What's it now? I guess now is, I don't know what it is. I don't know. It gets old. It gets old, man. The, the idea that we're in any kind of war with China is just silly. It's dumb. I mean, look, China is a slowly and right in front of our very eyes becoming a paper tiger. Yeah, it's just no different than Russia. We just got to wait them out. But they're not going to attack us. It's just dumb. But now, if we start going belligerent in Taiwan, what was someone saying on my YouTube channel the other day? I couldn't believe it. He's like, I want, what did he say? I'm willing, basically, I'm willing to pay more tax money to defend our country essentially against Putin, is what he said. Because Putin's at our borders. I didn't know, but apparently Putin's at our borders, and that will save our sons from having to die. So basically, he's willing to sacrifice Ukrainians to save Americans with our Ukrainians' bodies, with American tax dollars to save Americans from having to die because of Putin attacking the United States. The whole Chinese thing with a stupid balloon, whatever the hell is going on, that's so fake, dude. I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on. I find it so, it's just what? I mean, it's just another way to get the ire up of people say, oh, look at Biden. He's so bad. He's so corrupt. Look, dude, who knows? You think the media just one day woke up and say, we're going to publish this story without any kind of friggin', that's Stalin, Dan. Stalin said that break one egg, it's a tragedy. Break a dozen, it's an omelet. That's what Joe Stalin said. Hey, James, my man James in the house. Do you think come on. It's weird to me how after COVID that people still just fall for whatever the media wants to push is the narrative. Now it's the Chinese balloons. I don't know if that's happening before. I have no clue. But the idea that just somehow out of nowhere just became manufactured and everyone's reporting, it's like, doesn't that seem just kind of odd? Doesn't that seem kind of odd? At the same time, we have U.S. generals saying we're going to be in war with China, hot war with China in 2 years. Carter gave away the Panama Canal. Now the CCP manages the canal. CCP is everywhere. Yeah. I mean, you saw the balloon, but I mean, okay. I'm not saying the story. I don't know. I just find it okay. It's not like it's just one day. Wow, there's a balloon. Let's report on this. Oh, there's another one. It's just so friggin' boring to me. I'm like, okay. It's like they're pushing a narrative. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to know because I don't follow the news. But just like, does no one see this? All of a sudden now Chinese spy balloons are everywhere all the time. What I did a cover for the freaking Sniffy Joe documents. I mean, that has gone. No one talks about the doc. I don't know what it is, but it's just like the media, they don't push a narrative to advance the knowledge of American citizens, they push a narrative to control American citizens. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. See, here's the issue. Jill's worried about the being infiltrated by the U.S. We're doing it to ourselves, Jill. We don't need the Chinese to make us weak. I just had a tennis match today, and there's when my son watched my son, and on the other side, this at Chattahoochee High School, girls soccer was practicing, and they're putting all this hip hop on, I guess to juice them up. They're dropping f bombs on the loudspeakers of the speakers. It's sanctioned by the school. Sanctioned by the school, dropping f bombs everywhere. There's no country music. There's no rock. It's all hip hop. Bad Bunny, whatever the hell that clown is. Whatever. I don't know any of this stuff. I'm just dropping f bombs. Like what? I was in urban high school. That never happened in my urban high school. You know what I'm saying? Dropping f bombs all over the place. We're just it's a decaying society. It had nothing to do with China. We're doing it to ourselves. And that's where I actually am positive, though. I think the Jubilee is going to happen, man. The Jubilee is going to be like, hey, at the end of the day, it comes to a point where people say no more. And we're going to take back, and we're going to make this. We're going to legislate more morality, and we're going to have to do this because it's happening all the time. And that doesn't mean you legislate to enforce morality. It does in public. But what happens is because it's so decadent and so degraded, no one wants to stand up and say, you shouldn't be doing that. At some point, it will come a time, though, where you're going to have to stand up and say you shouldn't be doing that. And it's going to take, guts. I mean, was it Matthew in Matthew, the book of Matthew, I think, where Jesus says he's not welcome in his own town. You know what I'm saying? And I think with Jesus, he goes, when you preach the word, and if they don't want to hear you, you dust off your sandals and you go to another town to preach. It's the same thing. You'll get enough people ultimately to say, yeah, we don't want that crap anymore. And they'll get rid of the transgender stuff. They'll get rid of, all that crap. They'll say, no, we're not dealing with this anymore. It's over. It's over. If you want to be that way, it's fine, but we're not going to make accommodations for this kind of behavior because it's a behavior. It's not a who you are. It's a behavior. We all know this. And they're going to say, no, we'll allow you to be who you are, but we're not going to make accommodations for that. And that's the first step. That's going to be great. Oh, I don't care. I literally don't care. I don't care. Yeah, jazz, absolutely. See, I don't like jazz. I don't even like country music that much. Every country music, if you buy an album with 10 songs, like 2 good songs and 2 are just filler. 10 or 8 are just filler. You just literally want to say, I want to jump off a bridge. If you buy, and I don't buy country albums. I just remember growing up, I sang an earlier Sammy Kershaw song, The Queen of My Double Wide Trailer. I love that song. That Sammy Kershaw album with that song is like another song on there is good. All the rest are horrible. I never understood the George Strait, not George Strait. The what's that guy's name with the hat? George. I can't remember that guy. I never understood the Garth Brooks. I never understood the appeal of that guy. Ugh. Ugh. Anyway, so let's go back. Yeah, military industrial complex, but it's the educational industrial complex too. So we had that in so the MIC was coined by Eisenhower, and Eisenhower also talked about the educational industrial complex, which is oddly forgotten about. I wonder why. Oh, probably because the educational elites are the people who write the story for us, our narratives. I heard an interesting thing that Eisenhower in his narrative, I have yet to confirm this. I heard an interesting thing that neither Churchill or Eisenhower said anything about the Holocaust in their memoirs. Anyone know that to be true? There's another guy too. Neither Churchill, Eisenhower, and some other guy, I can't remember the other guy, in their memoirs said nothing about the Holocaust. I said, that can't be, right? That can't be. I don't know that to be true. I just heard it. All right. All right, so let's go back to what I was reading here. Then we'll get out of here. Maybe again, if you guys got questions, put them in all caps. Oh, Dan, I don't know anything about the Ohio train derailment. I don't know anything about it. Well, that's the issue. We can look at Tesla, and there's a lot of 100% Wyatt Gomez in politics. Nothing happens by accident. If it happens, you could. Oh man, dude, if that's an FDR quote, that's fantastic, Wyatt. Oh yeah, look at that. Nothing happens by accident. If it happens, you can bet it's planned that way. Kind of like the Pearl Harbor FDR. FDR, Pearl Harbor, huh? Yeah, I'm not that worried about nuclear waste. Way over scared. Wait, people get way too scary. No. So I don't agree on EVs backwards. It is backwards. Electric vehicles are backwards relative to your ability to drive. You just you can't travel the same way I can in a gas powered vehicle. You just can't do. There's just no two ways around that. And then how long? I mean, I just filled up my car yesterday. It took freaking what 2 minutes? You know what I'm saying? How long does it charge an electric vehicle? So you have less ability to go places and more time constraints on your ability to go places because of the simple nature of having to recharge the batteries. Never mind with the battery packs and all that. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not even talking about that. I'm just saying the comparison of electric vehicles of being anti-EV, and I'm not anti-EVs, but let's just say I am. The comparison of being anti-EVs is like I'm pro horse and buggy relative to the internal combustion engine. Stupid. But anyway, my man, the free energy, I do think, uh, yeah, right here. I do think there's something to that with the Tesla stuff. I'm somewhat convinced that there's more to meets the eye. If you follow my man Howdy Mikulski and others, John Levi, they've written books and done lots of videos that say about the energy being produced to fund things like or to power things like the Chicago Exposition and whatnot is incredible. Actually, you're like that does not make sense. Does not make sense. Where did the electricity come from? It's interesting. Um, well, see, that's the thing. My issue, D-Ray, is that the more electrification, the more you're contingent on those guys over there. Now, if we had localized, I'd like that much better. Even if you had localized, freaking solar or wind. No wind. Wind's evil. But if you have localized solar, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be enough to do everything you need. You can't fly a plane to London on a solar panels. But at the end of the day, I don't want to fly to London anyway. Why would anyone want to go to London? I just want to be outside. I'm freaking right now. I'm smoking, still smoking all day long. I've been smoking some freaking brisket. So that's all I want to do. I want to smoke brisket, and I want to freaking play with my dogs, go for a walk, and do videos. That's it. Notice how many crisis system planned there. It's one every year now. What I'm saying. I watched the first half of the Super Bowl. Is it Josh Wellner? I didn't realize it's an L Wellner. I thought it was an I. Josh Wellner. I watched the first half. The Chiefs couldn't tackle for crap. I thought for sure the Eagles were going to win going away. And then I heard about the stupid penalty, which just the NFL and the NBA, the refs have way too much power. It's crazy. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know anything about it. And look, Josh is saying it's ugly. The other guy, Dan, Josh, and then Jill saying they're downplaying. It's horrific. Controlled release. One 100%. I completely agree with that, Andrew. Look, Andrew. Andrew gets it. China, the population is dying off in front of our eyes. India is now bigger than China. If not today, then tomorrow, certainly by the end of this year. We know by the end of this century, China is going to have less than 1 billion people. I think like 750. That's it. That's it. It's done. Done. I mean, you can't. When I say done, I mean it's no. That means it's gonna disappear. It's gonna be like Rome. Rome's still here. Italy is still here. You see what I'm saying? Not really the Ottoman Empire, but Turkey is still here. Mongolia is still here. Beautiful day in South Florida. Got my vitamin D, man. I was right on. Look at James getting his vitamin D, 100%, man. Oh, dude, see now this pisses me off. I was coming in here to be all happy. Now I'm freaking mad about everything. I'm actually not mad, believe it or not. My man Josh says ninth whale dead today from offshore wind sonar survey boats. Yep, but they're going to blame the lobstermen. Anyway, so this is insanity, dudes. You can't have whales dying because of freaking wind turbines out the east coast of the Atlantic Ocean in New Jersey. And the wind turbines don't do crap. How many whales would die from nuclear? Oh, none. But Josh, they could melt to China. I saw it in a movie. Don't even get me started on the moon landing. Don't get me there because a lot of you guys are going to be angry when I talk about the moon landing. How dare I? You see how many people just had a nice guy. We had a chat. He said, I've never met someone who thought the moon landing was a hoax. I thought it was just all, I just thought it was all, I never met anyone because I told him, I said, I don't think we went to the moon. He goes, what? I never met anyone who thought that. It's just kind of funny, but it's cool. It's comforting. He didn't call me an idiot or a loon. He just said, oh, okay. And we just went on our day. Isn't it amazing? We just went on our lives with different belief systems. How dare we? You know what I'm saying? I just chuckled. I said, yeah, I don't think it's true. And he believes it. That's cool. I don't. That's cool. We can go on our merry ways. Obviously, I'm right. He's wrong, but be that as it may. I'm just goofing. All right, so let's go back to this. Because I do want to get to this. And then we'll get out of here. This is a big deal. So here's Sadipo, and I quote him in my book on a different topic. You can retire on Social Security. I quote him heavily on long-term care. Retiree spending behavior reveals a preference for asset preservation. Isn't that interesting? Asset preservation. Huh. Income, this date line, March 2021. It's not even that old. Look at that. Income replacement strategies often assume inflation-adjusted spending in retirement is flat. Inflation-adjusted spending, i.e., you're going to keep your spending up with inflation. So it's growing, but it's growing solely to meet with inflation, i.e., it's flat if you take out inflation. The data reveals retiree spending declines annually by 2%, and it varies with wealth. Now, again, for the millionth time on this channel, we could argue that it declines because people are running out of money. No, there's no evidence for that at all. It declines because people get older, they're less likely to spend. But on top of that, as Sadipo says, retiring spending reveals a preference for asset preservation. Oh, all right, what does that mean, asset preservation? People won't buy that item because they no longer have a salary if it means they have to dip into their principal. It's just that simple. What was something I was thinking about buying the other day, and I did not buy it. I forgot what it was. I said, I'm not going to buy it. And now I have a salary. I'm self-employed. So every month is always, you just don't know. On a month-to-month basis, you have no clue, which makes it scary. But I have a salary in some regard. I have money coming in outside of spending down my assets or Social Security. What happens, though, is the evidence is overwhelming, is that as people get older and they no longer have a paycheck in, they spend to the extent of their income. All right? Their spending doesn't drive their income drives their spending. I hope that makes sense. This is so obvious, and the stuff on this is so over the top that everyone knows this. I wish they'd tell me how many people are watching on Rumble right now. It never does. And then I can't tell on Odyssey either. But yeah, you got somebody on Odyssey. Cool. Right, I can't stress this enough. The spending is geared by the income determines the spending. All right. The spending is determined by the spending is determined by the income. And so if you're living on Social Security, you're going to say, okay, and then you're living off a certain amount of your money, you're probably not going to take more than what you're getting on income off your investments. People do not like to dip into their principal. They just don't. I just, there's no two ways around. The studies are 100% on our side of this, the good guy side. The bad guy side will say continually, it drives me flipping batty. They will say your spending goes up each and every year with inflation. And there's no evidence of that. The evidence is so overwhelming. And finally, and this is going to happen to Einstein theory of relativity too. It's crashing and burning as we sit here. I'm telling you right now. For you Einstein fanboys, you're going to have a rude awakening. Probably about a generation of physicists who recognize that it's all fake. Right? It's all fake. So not only does spending stay flat as what would think, it actually declines. So we have a couple things happening here. Spending stays flat because people are going to spend to the level of their income. That's it. No other way around that. They don't want to dip into their principal. But then as they age, it starts declining too because they don't do as much. All right. Now again, on the advent that my man Blanchett did on the retirement smile. Let me just go to my book. I'll share with you. Retirement Spending Smile. I give you a sneak preview of my book, and we're going to talk about the retirement spending smile. And we will go down to, I'm almost done, which is great. I know I've been saying I've been almost done, but it takes dude, sometimes you just got to sit there and write, and sometimes you just don't feel like doing it. There's no other way around that. And so, can I put the thing on? There's a thing to make the, there it is. All right, so here's the chapters. So I'm going to go down to retirement spending smile. Right there. Hope you all can see this. I don't know how that guy, James Patterson, I was at the library buying some books the other day, and that guy has like 1,000 million books. So how the hell does that guy do that? It's crazy. All right, so here's retirement spending smile. Can you see that? Yeah, okay, sweet. So this is what we say your spending goes up each year with inflation. Well, if we're netting of inflation, it's flat. I mean, so if you're spending $100,000, 100,003 next year, 106,000 something next year, 109,000 something next year. Well, you take that 3,000 out, you take that 6,000 out, you take that 9,000 out because that's inflation. So we're just saying your real spending stays flat. What Blanchett has found using the HRS, the Health and Retirement Survey or Study at the University of Michigan, I can't remember, is that it actually drops significantly. Going back to Sudipto, about 2% a year. Now, what Blanchett shows, and I completely disagree, is that you're spending at basically, so you have a 30-year retirement. 16 years in is when you had your lowest ending spending, but then the next 10 years or so will jump up because of inflation. Healthcare spending, excuse me, healthcare spending. I don't buy that for 2 seconds flat. I don't think that. I think the evidence is underwhelming at best on that. Now, that doesn't mean he's lying. It doesn't mean anything. I challenge that, where the evidence would show that your spending for healthcare goes so far up that it's actually beating what you would have done right here if you just adjusted for inflation. I don't see that at all. So anyway, so this is Blanchett's retirement spending smile. Either way, though, even if I'm right or Blanchett's right, either way, it's reduction of spending significantly reduced relative to your spending increases each every year with inflation. There's no two ways around that. And then, so we literally just need to put that in its grave once and for all of a 4% rule of your spending increases with inflation. There isn't any evidence at all. Oh, but haven't you seen the price of gas lately? This is literally what I had some guy, a well-known guy in my business, say to me. It pissed me off. I'll read it to you. I literally couldn't. This is the argument we were having. I was literally, and this is where I realize a lot of people just don't know what the hell they're talking about. They just don't, because they're not deep thinkers about. I've come to the conclusion that outside of people's area of expertise, if you want to call it that, a lot of people just aren't curious about anything. They don't want to read about physics. They don't want to read about anything. I don't care what it is. Energy. They don't want to read about anything. They just want to read about their own thing. And that's not well-rounded person. And because they're not well-rounded, I challenge the idea if they have any ability at all to 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 look beyond the consensus. I really believe this now. I think a lot of experts who aren't well-rounded are consensus believers. The consensus says this, so I'm going to go with the consensus because they don't have enough guts or even thought or ability to challenge the consensus. And the go along, get along crowd, as Kwame Brown says. All right, so let's go to this right here. I had this debate on inflation with a well-known financial planner a few months back. He had written an article about retirement planning in the current high inflation era, containing many fallacies on retirement planning. So I challenged him. The following is verbatim our exchange. Me, would love to see evidence of retiree spending increasing with inflation. Him, please stop at a gas station or grocery store. Look at your property tax bill. I could go on and on. I found that clients typically spend more money when they retire young because they have more time on their hands and have to pay for things like what the company was previously subsidizing, like health insurance. And healthcare costs go way up as we age. See what I just said, retirement spending smile. Finally, take it. So, okay, well, we've just beaten back the retirement spending smile thing. Well, I didn't do it, but I'm not going to do it tonight, but I have done it. But anyway, so we can easily kick that back. But again, the premise that your spending goes up each and every year with inflation because gas station or grocery store, you go to a gas station or grocery store on any given day indicates that there's a 30-year likelihood that your spending will rise each and every year with inflation. It's freaking stupid. Look at your property tax bill. Okay. Well, that probably does go up with inflation. All right. Well, that's fine. But your property tax bill, in terms of your overall spending, leaves a lot to be desired. But be as may, that's all you got. That's all you got. But it takes a look at Medicare financing and let me know if you're comfortable that there won't be more means testing. Okay. And same for Social Security. So that's what we're basing our spending. I just asked for evidence that spending increases with inflation. He gives me Blanchett stuff, which I just showed you, shows the exact opposite. Spending goes down as you age. And then he gives me the price of gas station or grocery store, and then Medicare financing and Social Security are in dire straits. So that's indicative of our spending going up with inflation. Then he says, I tell clients I'd rather them come back to me in a few years saying they have too much money than they're running out of money. Well, first of all, the problem with that is a fallacy is that your clients will still be around to tell you that they have too much money because you're insinuating they probably should keep working or spend down less because you're saying you can't afford it because Social Security and Medicare will be more means tested than they are now. Okay, maybe, or that retirement spending goes up every year with inflation. So I'm telling my clients, come back to me in a few years saying they have too much money. Well, that means they didn't enjoy the first couple of years of retirement when they're young and sprite and have the ability, and they were still alive, frankly, to do that. So I say your argument for long-term retirement spending increases tracking inflation is based on my going to the gas station or a grocery store right now. That's silly on its face, and I know you know this. That's like the stupid fidelity study they put out each year. Retirees needing $350,000 for health care and retirement, and that doesn't include long-term care. Long-term care costs. Secondly, Medicare is already means tested. Could it be more means tested? Sure. But that's not evidence. That's pure speculation. I follow the CMS guidelines, but not going to get that. As for other healthcare costs or retirements, the evidence is lacking at best. Even Jonathan Clements, who I often criticize, said in 2019, according to a Boston College study, out-of-pocket medical costs devour 18% of the average retiree's income. Now, let's get around the use of scary words like devour or using of averages instead of median. Even then, it's all of 18% of income, which means it's 82% that's not being devoured by medical costs. And again, if the reason for spending going up is because of healthcare costs, I just showed you that 18% is going to healthcare costs for the average. That means 82% is not going for healthcare costs. So the retirement spending smile on his face doesn't cut the mustard. And I talk about the BLS, Boston College has quite a bit less in terms of average retiree healthcare costs. Anyway, so I'm not going to get the whole thing now, but this is the level of absurdity of guys who they have to keep believing and the fallacy of your retirement spending growing each and every year with inflation. There is no evidence for this, guys. And if there's no evidence for it, then what the hell are we doing? Listen to people who say this is happening. All right. So, lastly, I want to go and we'll end up here. Jill had sent me an interesting take on a credit union. For me just a second. Guys, if you are not a member of a credit union right now, you're freaking wrong, dudes. All right, so hold on just a second. Right here. She belongs to the Indiana Members Credit Union. So we're going to look it up. Indiana Members. Let's check this out. So I did a video the other day about some lady in North Texas. I can't remember. East Texas. I think it was East Texas. And I said, go down to East Texas, whatever the credit union was, open up a freaking account there. You're a member. You live in the county. You can become a member of the credit union and buy a certificate of deposit. I think it was like 4.64. I can't remember what it was. But I said, do that right now. Get down there today. And she did. It was good. So then Jill had said she was looking at her own credit union. And the first thing that was awesome about Indiana Members Credit Union was that their motto, hold on a second, was, let me show you, their motto, which it makes my heart melt, was keeping it simple. I said, keeping it simple. So let's take a look at Indiana Members Credit Union. All right, so let's first look at their certificates. Let's see one second. And they give us rates here. Yes, they do. Look at that, 25-month at 3.5. Now, you can get a brokered CD potentially for more than that on Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab websites. I don't know how long those brokered CDs are for, if they're callable or not. I don't know. So I was looking at Schwab the other day, and they had 4.5% CDs, but they're only for like a year before they're called. And a call just means the lender is going to refinance his CD essentially. So he's going to pay you off so he can refinance the debt at a lower cost. So this 25-month CD at 3.5% looked pretty good with an APY of 3.56 if you reinvest the interest. I was like, yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, actually. So then we have health savings account certificates. Let's go to deposit rates. Now, I'm not even saying that's the best, but I'm just telling you that looked pretty. Oh, right here. They got a 13-month CD at 4%. And I can't remember if Jill asked me about that. I would take the 3.5 over the 13-month, actually. I mean, that right there just shows you the inverted yield curve. And this isn't going to keep on forever. It's not going to. Anyway, so you can see money market accounts, 1.6. I mean, look, it's not going to make you rich, but remember, preservation is critical, my friends. Asset preservation. That's what retirees are interested in. They're interested in asset preservation. And asset preservation means not getting smoked in a down market. So let's just see how you can join this credit union. Now, I don't know anything about this credit union. It's the best thing since sliced bread? No, probably not. They'll probably donate to Fauci. I don't know. But I'm just saying at the end of the day, if credit unions are subsidized by us taxpayers, right? They don't pay taxes on their income. They don't. It's just a fact. So if you're not using advantage of a subsidy, that's your mistake. That's why credit unions usually have better rates. And we're going to go new membership. Let's see what it says here. All right, so you have to it doesn't say. Anyway, I'm not sure how you become a member here. Eligibility. There we go. Come on, man. Anyway, I don't know what the eligibility requirements are, but I'm sure it's on here someplace. Be that as it may. So these credit unions typically have eligibility requirements. You have to be part of a group of people, like Mennonite credit unions. So the credit unions were based on the unbanked. It wasn't the Amish, but I don't think it was Jewish, but it's some kind of group. I want to say New York State. It's kind of like USAA, how they did that with auto insurance, but they got together and they formed a credit union. And so a local group of people, be it in Fulton County, Georgia, be it the Mennonite, they go to the Mennonite church. We had a Mennonite credit union back when I lived in Dayton, Virginia. I'm not Mennonite, but I could have joined. But be it they live and work in Rockingham County, Virginia, something like that. You can join the credit union, or you be a member of the Delta. You know, you're a pilot for Delta. You can join the Delta Community Credit Union. That's a lot of these have their restrictions are pretty aren't very they're pretty liberal, if that makes sense. Actually, what is Delta? God, I'm not going to look it up. So Jill says I like Indiana Credit Union because it's member owned and local. Not how do you become a member? Do you have to live in Indiana, Jill, or what? Yeah. So here's Vic. He's been buying 12-month CDs that pay each month and no call. Yeah, 4.5%. So that's a 1-year CD. I just don't think we're gonna have these 1-year CDs at 4.5% next year. I just don't. I could be absolutely wrong. I just don't think so. I'd like to lock my money in for 2 years, so I could. Dan says 69 to 68 this year, drawn a 401k for 2 years, white benefits. Yeah. So here we go. Brokerage account CD 4.85 for 12 months. That's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. That'd be tough to turn that down. So you have to think. Let's say we went from 4.85 to 2.85 the next year. Hear me out for just a second. 4.85 plus 2.85 divided by 2. Yeah. So even that, you'd be getting better than the 3.5% CD for 25 months. So let's just say that broker CD matures in a year, and now the best you're getting is 2.85. That would still give you a 3.85% average rate of return relative to what Jill was getting at the credit union at 3.5% for 25 months. At the end of the day, I'm not liking shopping accounts. I don't like doing that. So if you have an account at that brokerage, that's fine. But I know some people like they go to bank. What's got the best rates? I've never understood that. That just bores me to death. All right. I was going to delay Social Security. I could easily have, but figured, F it. I'll get now. I'm still above ground. Yeah. I mean, I got no qualm with that, dude. I just hope your wife knows you did that, because assuming your wife is going to have a lower benefit when you die and you're in the ground, you're pushing up daisies. Miss Vic G is going to be like, how dare you, Vic? You left me a pauper. You could have given me more. Of course, I'm surprised I'm still alive. There's a lien on this head of mine because I got such a big life insurance policy. The pool boy that old Charlotte's shacking up with, she's like, hey, Charlotte, I hear Josh has a big life insurance policy. Why don't we take him out and move to Mexico? That's the best Speedy Gonzalez accent you've ever heard. And Charlotte's like, okay, pool boy. Wait, Charlotte's like, okay, pool boy. And then the pool boy's like, we go to Mexico, Tampico. We eat lots of tamales with Slowpoke Rodriguez. So Speedy Gonzalez is the fastest mouse in Mexico. No one's as cool as Slowpoke Rodriguez. Slowpoke Rodriguez, he carried firearms first and foremost. So you can mess with Slowpoke. There is your anti-Second Amendment crap. When it comes to Slowpoke Rodriguez, yeah, he wasn't slow. He was half the time he was drunk as a skunk, but he carried a firearm, so the cats never got him. Slowpoke rocked. Yeah, but Dan, I mean, in the 80s, CDs were averaging 10, but mortgages were, and I mean, yes, but I don't. If you expect that to happen, I got some oceanfront property in Arizona. Now, I'm not saying it can't. I've been in this business a long time. I remember everyone and their mom saying in the 80s, and I've heard that 1,000 times a Sunday. I don't think that's ever coming back. I just don't. But I could be wrong. But in the interim, remember the safe bet is to protect your bottom line. Most people, as they retire, a lot more asset preservation, a lot less asset risk. Risk aversion becomes secondary. Risk aversion becomes a prominence, I should say. All right, that's all I got tonight. What's on? Quick, just kind of go through the any. Yeah, look at my man Vicky G. been retired for a couple years. His spending has gone down. He's okay. He's going to take his Social Security at full retirement age. Okay. I didn't know if you're going to spend it at 62 or what's that. Yeah, I got no problem with that. Just banking the excess. 100%, man. Savings and loans. Ooh. Yeah, hey, my man, right wing professor. He didn't take kindly to me bashing professors, but he's a good guy. I don't care what they say. Why would anyone bank at Capital One? I don't, dude. You're a right wing professor. You get to turn in your right wing street cred. Who the hell does Capital One hire for their spokesperson? Why do you think their CDs are so high? Come on, right wing professor, dude. Come on. Come on. You can't be right wing and banking at the bank that Alec Baldwin and freaking what's that black guy's name, the clown? Come on, dude. No. Why do you think they're paying so much? There's a reason. Stay far away from Capital One. But it's FDIC insured. I don't give two craps. I don't want Capital One anywhere near me or my family. I'll tell you that right now. Freaking hire. I always wonder how come I saw in the Super Bowl that heavy set blonde lady Amy Schumer. It's like no one likes this chick. Why is she still featured prominently in Super Bowl ads? I mean, how come Roseanne Barr isn't? Amy Schumer, her show sucked. No one likes her. She's not funny. What is it with the corporations? They just love. It's the weirdest thing. They love to. Wasn't Matt Damon on one of those commercials too? I said, wait, wasn't Matt Damon just pushing Bitcoin or what the hell was last year? So when I was at USA, just FYI, I'll never forget this. I was stunned. So USA spent buku bucks to sponsor the NFL and advertise on the NFL. I think that might be done now because I don't recall. I think it's over. They spent buku members' money to advertise in the NFL. Anyway, I will never forget. There's something they were doing in the NFL. They had like Super Bowl tickets or something like that. I can't remember. I said, and like some of the executives got to go. But there's something else that happened too. Like lower level executives got to go, but it was like to meet some of the things. I can't remember what it was. But I remember the Super Bowl was one thing, and the upper executives got to go to that. And then the lower executives got to go to some other kind of event that the NFL is doing. And I said, this is what it is. Corporations want so desperately to rub shoulders with fancy schmancy people. These executives want nothing more to say. There's a picture of me and RG3. This when RG3 was, hugely prominent. With I don't know, freaking Roger Goodell. These corporate because the corporate executives don't do anything. They didn't get there on their own. They just got promoted, because of attrition, essentially. And they're ambitious, but they're not bright. They're not bright. They're ambitious, but they're not bright. So they're always doubting themselves. Always doubting, like it's imposter syndrome. How did I get here? Well, because you kissed a lot of ass, dude. It's like Fauci. How did I get here? You kissed so much ass. That's why you got promoted. You got promoted to your highest level of incompetence, the Peter principle. You got promoted to your highest level of incompetence. But I'll never forget seeing some of these guys, these upper executives, just like girls on a date. So like, oh my goodness, I got to meet. And then I said, I get it. You're willing to spend our money, the members' money, so you could feel like a good boy, like you made it. I can show mom that I was a smart boy. I got to rub shoulders with whoever that was. It was disgusting. It was at USA. I'll never forget. I see this guy in my head, a yellow-haired guy named Scott. I know his last name. I'm not going to say. It might be not a bad guy, just dumb as rocks. Peter Principle is perfect for this guy. And again, not a bad guy, just dumb. And he got promoted to his highest level of incompetence. And one time they had this thing, and he was, upper mid-level manager, and he got to do rub shoulders with celebrities of some sort. I can't remember who it was. I just said, "Oh, that's what it's all about." The corporations want to build the executives to feel like they've accomplished something. They want to be able to show mom that they have a picture with Roger Goodell. That's why they're willing to spend buku bucks. They don't want to pitch with Roseanne because Roseanne was yesterday's news, but Amy Schumer, well, everyone saw Amy Schumer. She had a Netflix special, and she's Chuck Schumer's cousin or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, but Amy, no one likes her. Yeah, but still, she's Amy Schumer. Alec Baldwin, Samuel Jackson. Yeah, no one likes these people. All their stuff sucks. Yeah, but still, it's crazy, man. It's crazy what celebrity will do to people who are weak-minded and just weak people. No sense of self. That's what it is. A lack of sense of self. It's a celebrity. Oh my goodness, really? A celebrity? Holy crap! That's great. What makes him so fancy schmancy? Well, because everyone knows who he is. Oh, so that means I should find that guy fancy schmancy because everyone knows who he is too, right? Yes, because that's what. No. Anyway, is Bass Pro that is Capital One? What? BJ's just converted to Capital One. Oh, Bass Pro just converted. I don't get it. I do not have a Costco credit card. My credit card is USA. We have my number. Yikes. All right, Robert. All right, it's a good comeback there. I got you. Just don't come down when you take me out and live with her, Robert. Just don't tell her your fancy stories of solar because she's heard it from me a million times. So if you want to get my wife, you're gonna have to come with a different thing because I don't really have that many friends. So I sit there and say, "Can you believe what these fools are doing about solar?" She goes, "Oh, okay, great, yeah, okay." Well, as long as you're paying off your credit debt, I hope. I mean, 2% on every purchase, as long as you're paying, you're not keeping a debt. That's for sure. See, I don't. I mean, look, I get that. Use the beast for the beast. Personally, for me, I'm trying to remove myself from the beast as much as possible. So I use USA, but they're part of the beast too. I mean, let's not lie. USA would not be as big as it was if it wasn't for the military war machine. That's just a fact. But um, I mean, it is. But what I'm saying is, yeah, right. Okay, all right, right on. I say if there's a right wing professor on carries a balance with Wells Fargo, I'm gonna have to ban you. But yeah, they loan me money. Joe says they loan me money and pay me to do it, not the other way around. Yeah, I get it, man. I mean, we can't escape the beast for Westworld. Just don't want them having my money, my retirement accounts. There's one thing on a credit card, I suppose. This might be nitpicking, but I'm not going to friggin' put my money with Capital One for an extra 15 basis points. I can't do it. Morally object. I object. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate my man Robert Scott. I probably went hard on you, dude. Sorry. I just all right. Mea culpa. I was too hard on Robert. He's got a cute dog. Might not be the brightest bulb in the thing, but he's bright enough to have a cute dog and make a joke about hooking up my wife. That's pretty smart. That's a pretty good one there. All right, so I apologize for going too strong hard on you. Hey, I hate the fallacy of the climate change propaganda. I hate it because it's so based on a house of cards, and people fall don't. Oh, thanks, Robert. Dude, I appreciate it. Now I feel like a dick. Damn. I wish I could just be nice. Why I gotta be a dick? Yeah, because he started off good. And he's like, friggin', he didn't say anything mean to me. I had to be a dick. Yeah, I didn't mean to be a dick. But that other guy was a dick. I don't like that guy. The other guy, the friggin' guy with the baseball hat, whoever the guy's name was, Hermit Financial or something like that. Yeah, I don't trust that guy as far as I could kick him. Yeah, a group conformity was a tyranny. Yeah, but that was too hard on Robert. He got the best of me because he's still here, and I didn't freaking. Oops, do that. Yeah, let me look at that dog. Dude. How can you be mad? Look at the. Can you all see that? Look at that gorgeous puppy. Good night. How can you be mad at a guy who's got such a gorgeous butt? Look at that thing. Oh, all right. Anyway, so lesson learned, I guess. I'll probably thanks James. James says I got a friend in South Florida. So when Robert runs off my wife and I'm homeless, I'll move in with James and his dogs. So look at James's dogs. No, no, he's got his grandkids. I guess not the dogs. No, 100%. There you go. That's great. Look at right wing professor. Banks would never loan money on beach properties. 100%. Actually, all right. I'm going to stop. They're suing. They are suing. I can't remember what this was. The municipalities so municipalities were suing, Exxon and whatnot, saying climate change, and it's going to cause us, to pay more for whatever it was, and because of you. And Exxon said, "Oh, isn't that interesting? Let's look at your municipal bonds that you guys are promoting. Where, when it says the risks of buying whatever fancy California municipal bonds, whatever, where is these risks disclosed in your prospectus?" It was, I like cats, Andrew. That doesn't make me mad. I do like cats. Charlotte's allergic to them, but I love cats, dude. I had a cat named Raider, and I had a cat named Sweetness, and I had a cat named Kitty when I was growing up. I loved them all. Raider froze to death under my bed. Supposedly, I said, "Well, how did he freeze to death under my bed if I'm not frozen?" That doesn't make any sense. So the story of a little kid that he was freezing to death. He climbed up the stairs and went under my. So basically, he was so cold outside. He was able to get back inside, and he climbed up the stairs and laid under my bed and froze to death. And I said, "Okay." So he froze to death under my bed. Well, how come I wasn't freezing to death? And so that never made sense. Anyway, that was what they said, my parents. I said, I don't know, that's something weird. Anyway, and Raider Sweetness was named after Walter Payton because Walter Payton crushed. But anyway, what they're doing is they're suing. So Exxon said, let's look at your prospectuses. See where the risk of this massive climate change that you're suing us for causing is indicated in your prospectus on the selling of municipal bonds. So are you fraudulently then not disclosing the risk inherent in your county because you're also suing us for the same risk which you're not disclosing in your municipal bonds? Isn't that crazy? I said, man, excellent. That's good stuff. And I can't remember. I think the suits just kind of went away. They stopped suing because all right. Were you heating with solar made? Right on. We didn't have any heat, dude. We had a wood stove we had a wood stove in the dining room, and then we do white trash. We put you put the plastic, you know what I'm talking about. And you heat it. That's no storm windows, white trash storm windows. The plastic tape, paper. You know what I'm talking about. The plastic stuff you put over your plates, your dishes and stuff. And then what you do is you take your heating thing like that. That's how you do it to keep the cold air from coming in. And then I think we had a furnace. So we did have a furnace with oil, I think. We run out of oil quite a bit. I just remember that. I just remember coming home during after school and just like, please tell me the heat's on. Please tell me the heat's working. Because Maine in the wintertime, believe it or not, it gets cold. So go through that front door, like, please, please, please. And it'd be colder inside than it was outside. And that meant that we didn't have any heat. They didn't have enough to pay for the oil. And I'd have to start the fire in the wood stove that was in the little dining room over there. But, that heated up that little area, but certainly didn't heat up the whole house. And I never liked to do that because I was just a kid. It was always kind of scary, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, so I'd do that. But I just remember I was sitting there like, please let it be cold, warm in there, please. Because you're freezing outside, dude. It's like freezing. The last thing you want to do is open your door and go to a colder house. And the difference was just night and day. It's like, oh, you just go in, it's like your heart would just, oh, not again. And I think sometimes my mom would say, open up the oven. I think it's what she would say sometimes. Open up the oven and just heat the house from that. I'm sure that's very healthy. It wasn't like this every day. I mean, it wasn't like I mean, don't misunderstand. I'm not saying it was one. It's just your memories of opening a house and the oil wasn't, when the heat was off because we didn't pay or whatever. Oh, nightmare. All right, I'm out of here, guys. God bless. And again, sorry for being a dick, that guy, but I'll try better next time. See ya.